So welcome. This is again the Monday, June 21st, 2021 Select Board meeting. We took a little break, a recess for a short time so that we could figure out our technological situation, and Lisa Wong has joined us here at WinCam, and we're all just going to continue with the meeting. So thank you, Lisa. We were up to the town manager's report.
Great. I have several things to report. The first is that the Winchester Housing Authority longtime director, John, or as we know, Jack Hurd, is actually going to be retiring. So there's a celebration for him on July 1st. I will send you guys the information and the details, the RSVP. Also, tomorrow I have a meeting with the superintendent of the Northeast Metro school. So the regional school, which I believe covers 12 communities, they're in Wakefield. They're building a new school. They'll be releasing some financial information over the summer, and I believe there'll be an opportunity to vote sometime. I think it might be this year, but I'll find out more information tomorrow. Okay. I will report back to folks about what those next steps are. Also, there's going to be some road closures this week because we're doing paving. So Mount Vernon at Washington Street to Highland Street, and Washington Street from Mount Vernon to Main Street. We'll be doing that work Wednesday and Thursday of this week. Okay, that might be my phone. So in the report that's included in the packet, I included a recent vaccination report. I think it's a cool report that we actually put on our website that shows the vaccination rate by age groups. We've been fairly lucky in the state and fairly lucky in Winchester to have high vaccination rates. We're also finalizing a new energy contract extension for both gas and electric. Our electric contract expires at the end of 2022. Our gas, I think, goes through January 2023. So we're looking to extend those prices another 36 months beyond the end of that contract. Then those extended terms will actually be less than our current rate. So we just want to kind of lock in those rates right now. I also want to congratulate a regional collaborative that we're part of, the Resilient Mystic Collaborative. They received an Environmental Merit Award for Leadership by a nonprofit organization from EBC. It recognizes the partnership of 20 communities, including Winchester and the Mystic Valley watershed, to protect their people and places from climate-intensified risks. Within 18 months of the founding of this group, they raised over $2.5 million for climate resiliency funding for stormwater management, critical infrastructure, coastal flood management, and so on. There's also a number of emergency measures that the governor signed into law last Wednesday. This temporarily extends certain measures from the COVID-19 pandemic, including remote meetings. I did include sort of a memo that the town council had put together. So it extends our ability to meet remotely through April 1st, 2022, so via Zoom. It also allows town meetings to be held remotely through December 15th, 2021. So in fact, we'll see what happens for fall town meeting. For outdoor dining and municipal permitting, it allows that outdoor table service through April of 2022 next year. And I think there are some internal conversations about what we do as a town beyond that, because it's been so successful. There's also a bunch of other provisions as well, but these are the main ones that concern us. And then I do have one appointment.
Can I just quickly ask the road closures, or maybe the COVID, the extensions of the emergency measures? Is there information on the website for people who are curious about that sort of information?
So we can probably highlight it a lot better.
Okay.
So my reports are online.
Right.
We usually put road closures as alerts that go out, and of course we do have signage that we do post out on the streets.
Okay, thank you.
I think more roads are under construction than open, so.
I think we need more construction signs.
Yeah.
Just be patient out there.
Yes,
It's the name of the game this summer with our roads. You know, it's an inconvenience, but it will be worth it in the long run for the next few months, so.
Yeah, and that's, you know, a lot of that needs to be done, so
Mhm.
we'll be happy with the results.
Okay, so just one appointment in accordance with section 4-2B of the town charter, in accordance with the rules and regulations of the Department of Personal Administration or Civil Service, and as permitted by chapter 708 of the Acts of 1941 as amended, I've made the following permanent full-time appointment in the fire department to Ryan McManus. I respectfully request the select board vote to waive the normal 15-day appointment period.
I move that we waive the customary 15-day waiting period for firefighter paramedic Ryan McManus.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that's unanimous. That's great. And that's it for you?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. So we covered the Eversource MOU amendment, and we had moved on to the Vale settlement agreement.
So
Did you
I
want-
have the motion language if you
Okay.
want me to read.
Sure, that'd be fine.
So I move that the board exercise its option pursuant to section 2.B of the settlement agreement between the town and Peel Homes of New England LLC, LCS Woburn LLC, and Montvale Land LLC dated March 29th, 2021, to acquire parcel 1-36 as described in said agreement, such acquisition to be carried out by the Conservation Commission, and to direct the town manager and town council to take such actions as are necessary to exercise said option.
Second?
So, all those in favor?
Aye?
Aye. I guess
That's it?
That's it.
I mean, we can explain,
Do
I
you
can
wanna-
explain.
Do you want to
if-
explain
yeah.
what we just did, and
we
why
can
we did it that
explain
way?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, so, I mean, Susan, you've been
Well-
working closely, or,
Yes.
Yeah.
There was litigation as part of the settlement agreement involving the Vale. The developers of the Vale area, you know, closest to Winchester, agreed that we could have the option to either take ownership or have a conservation restriction placed on about 16 acres of land off of, between Washington Street and Sunset Road. It's a wooded area, and the river runs through it, and we were thinking that we might continue and actually put a bike path spur through there. I think that was discussed years ago. The Tri-Community Greenway does come out onto Washington Street right at the end of that 16 acres. And so under this settlement agreement, we had the option to actually have the town take ownership of that land, have that be through the Conservation Commission to preserve it, and that's what we were just discussing, and we voted to do that. So it's been a bit of a long saga, but I think that this is a really good positive step to preserve this, you know, this open area that's wooded, and provides a bit of a buffer between the houses and Washington, and continues a bit of a buffer between Winchester and the whole Vale development. So,
yeah, I mean, I just wanted to repeat something that Rich said earlier,
Yes.
that we don't get the opportunity very often to gain 16 acres of land for the town, so, I mean, that's something that Rich said, but I just think it's important that we say that here,
Yeah,
because
that is
it's a
true.
good opportunity, and I'm glad that we are
Yeah.
taking it.
Absolutely.
Not a lot of open space to be had.
I appreciate everyone's hard work in making this happen. I think it's a good step.
Great.
Okay, hold on. I have Mike on the phone.
Oh.
Put him on speaker. If you guys weren't ready for the vote.
Oh, well, we could vote again to confirm the vote on the Vale.
Oh, you already did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we already voted.
They already voted. Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, they did already take the vote.
Oh, okay, well, you wanna?
Yeah, okay. Well, I was telling you what was happening. They took a vote. So they're all set. All right, thanks.
All right.
Thank you, Mike.
Try to come back in later, thanks.
Okay, thanks, bye.
Okay, so. We could do a Waterfield update if you wanted to do that, since that's something that you pretty much have under control, right?
I mean, I don't think there's any major update except
Mhm.
that there's a special election tomorrow, and as I was leaving town hall,
Mhm.
our town clerk was running around doing a lot of things, so I guess the only thing I will say is that thank you to her
Yes.
and her staff for pulling off something like 9 elections in 14 months. Something I think that breaks a town record,
Right.
not some sort of world record.
Yes, there've just been a lot of elections, and then town meeting, which was tricky to do, but, you know, unusual circumstances doing a remote town meeting, and then we had this special election, which will be tomorrow, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the high school. And so they had to be setting up the high school as a polling place, which they did in one day, pretty much. So, yes, many, many thanks to the town clerk. All right. So I guess we're up to the pilot agreement, which involves payment in lieu of taxes, is what pilot stands for, with Winchester Hospital, which is now part of Beth Israel Lahey Healthcare. And it had been negotiated over several months, back and forth. Because of the change in management with Beth Israel Lahey, the format needed to be changed, and they wanted to tie the payments to their community health needs assessment. And we worked through that, and we wanted to have a 3-year agreement. And Lisa negotiated that as well. And one aspect that was still under negotiation, that we still needed some clarity on, was a portion of money that during the negotiations had been earmarked, I guess, in accordance with their community health needs assessment for a van to help, a van for the Council on Aging to transport, our seniors to medical appointments and other things. And we wanted to go back and see if there was some flexibility to have that amount actually go towards something for the recreation department, for another department that was presented last week or 2 weeks ago about the rec department was looking into a sort of fitness area, outdoor fitness area that looked really, really cool that they wanted to put near Leonard Field, or on Leonard Field near the tennis courts, I guess. And we did go back and present that change the, I think it was $44,000 from the van purpose to the outdoor fitness center purpose.
Well, technically, it was
Okay.
to set it aside for the gift fund because we hadn't decided
All
which
right.
project.
Right, that's true, because we hadn't quite decided what to do, and wanted the flexibility to use it for this fitness center. Thank you. So, you want to pick up the tale from there? 'Cause we were.
No, you did a great job. So we're sort of at Heartbreak Hill here,
Yes,
which
we
is
are.
where we ended up. So we did end up with the language change that we needed to take out the words penalties and interest that
Right.
Mariana had suggested. They did not want to repurpose the $44,000 away from the van to the select board's gift fund. They would very, very much prefer, and they were very adamant that we move forward with the van project. So I think my ask to the select board is that we adopt the letter as revised for June 17th. If the idea is that the select board didn't want to decide where the $44,000 was gonna go now, then I think the consolation prize is that we're getting one thing that we want. The question is, can we get the other thing that we want? And I will say to the select board that, let me work on that.
Okay.
There's grants we need to apply for. There's at least 2 other pools of funding
Mhm.
that I think that we can look at, so we could get both. But the timing of this is such that this agreement covers this current fiscal year. So
Mhm.
we actually need to start the paperwork as soon as the board approves this. And then we want to actually get those checks in hand so that they apply for the next 9 days. And then what's really great is that, you're also going to get that additional 50,000 in Select Board's gift fund. And then it's going to be next year, you'll get another 50,000 there. So there'll definitely be opportunities for us to look at funding for that other project.
And I don't remember, did town meeting appropriate any of the 90,000 that were we counting on any of that? Okay, so that will all flow into free cash at the recap then? The 90,000?
So the select, of the 90,000, actually it depends on what 90,000 we're talking to.
The
So-
general fund
So
contribution.
So that's already built into the fiscal year 21 budget.
Okay,
So,
yes,
and
okay.
actually it did.
Okay.
It's the additional, 94,000 that is going into non-appropriated
Okay.
sources.
Right, that's something that I kind of left out of my recap, that, this is the agreement that will cover the present fiscal year, which is going to be ending at the end of June,
Mhm.
and then the subsequent 2 years, so.
Yeah. So we need that 90,000 because we already appropriated at town meeting, right? So we need that revenue, yeah.
Plus the other 94,000, so.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I just want to say that, obviously, Susan mentioned this is a voluntary payment from the hospital.
Correct.
So, we appreciate their support. There's nothing forcing them to do this, so
Mhm.
it's great that they want to contribute to the town and help the town in various projects and fund different projects. So, thank you to the hospital for
Yes.
making these payments and entering into this agreement.
Well put, yeah, thank you. So, I'll need a motion, I guess, to,
Yeah, I move that we approve the pilot, the payment in lieu of taxes agreement with.
Can I ask
Oh,
you to
yes,
do-
sir.
Do this one.
Okay. I move that we approve the Winchester Hospital voluntary payments letter dated June 17th, 2021 for the fiscal years 2021 through 2023, substantially in the form presented at the Select Board's June 21st, 2021 meeting.
Second?
so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that's unanimous as well. Then we have the flag policy, which
Yes.
we might want, Nina, or maybe not. Do you
I
think we need
don't think so.
Okay, we did discuss it with him, and it is largely his work, looking at other towns' similar policies for putting, allowing people to request the town common flag, the town common flagpole to display another flag.
Yes. So there's been some requests for raising various flags at the town common one. So this is not town hall, this is town common. Town hall, we believe because it's part of a memorial that we don't want to alter those in any way. So this is not the banner program either. We already have a separate banner
Okay.
program. This is simply the flag at the town common. We don't have any formal process or application process for guest flags. So this is actually creating a policy and also creating a application process. We ran this by the Department of Public Works and Police. They have no issue with it. I worked with town council to develop the policy that you see here that also has the various issues that DPW raised. So there are a couple of highlighted things in the packet that I wanted to bring to your attention. But let me sort of go through the flag raising policy and then pinpoint the areas that I need your input. So again, this is for the town common. This is for third-party organizations or individuals that want to request a particular flag be raised. So the choice of the flag, of what flag to raise at the town common flagpole, including the approval or denial of the application, is government speech to which the strictures of the free speech clause of the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution do not apply. The town does not, nor has it ever intended to designate the flagpole as a public forum by permitting the third party to raise of a particular flag on the same. Neither this policy, the town's choice of which flag to raise, nor the manner in which it makes such policy should be interpreted as designating the flagpole as a public forum. No event held on town property or elsewhere which companies the raising of any third-party flag shall have any effect on the town's intent that I just raised. The applicants must complete an event application that will be available on our website, and we'll have paper copies. The request to raise flags must be made at least 3 weeks prior to the requested date and should generally include the following information. So just the 3-week period, originally when we looked at other applications, it was 4. I did shorten it to 3. So I don't, again, sort of neither here nor there, but.
If that proves unworkable, we could probably change it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So it just has the various information they need to fill out on their application. So once the application is completed, then the town manager and or designee will confer with the police department and DPW to determine whether the requested date, time, and duration of the flag raising is operationally feasible. If so, then we'll put the request on a board meeting agenda for review and public comment. If not, the applicant will be notified as soon as practically possible and given the opportunity to select an alternative date, time, and duration. The town manager will notify the applicant of the board's decision the day after the meeting. Applicants may be required to pay for security, custodial, or other costs if town resources are required. In some instances, applicants may be required to apply for special event or other permits, depending on the scale of it. So I just started. Going back to number 10, the DPW director had actually recommended a fee schedule that I haven't gone over with him. So what I'd like to do is, and this is just assuming that people want something on off hours, is I'd like to review this further with him and actually bring that to the next agenda. So the next agenda, I actually might have your first flag application, but I will also ask for an adoption of the fee schedule. I believe the application that we're going to be reviewing won't incur fees, because I think it's going to happen sort of during the normal business hours. The town is not responsible for stolen or damaged flags. And then we have a few rules. So we don't want the flags to be deemed inappropriate or offensive in nature, anything that supports discrimination, prejudice, or religious movements. The flag raising must be within normal business work hours, generally between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. In the work week, if it's done on a holiday or a weekend or off hours, then that, again, needs both sort of a waiver from the select board as part of the approval process, as well as potentially charging additional money. The events must be open to the public. Let's see, we are also, so number 5, these dimensions are actually much smaller than some of the previous ones we've seen, because we actually don't want the flag to be bigger than the US flag. So I am asking that we restrict the size of flags to 3 by 5 or 4 by 6. So I'm hoping that you guys are okay with that. We also added that the events must be consistent with our sustainability goals. So we might have to lower the flags to comply with any U.S. flag code, or if, the governor or other appropriate authority asks us to be at half staff. So it does say that it normally flies for 24 hours, but of course, if they have the application that they want it longer, that'll be part of the approval process. And then the last page is the actual application form.
So the idea here is, instead of doing these sort of on an ad hoc basis, we'll have an application process, we'll get all the information that we need, and be able to review it, and then, vote on essentially giving permission for this to be done.
Yes. And there is one recommendation that I did not include here from the DPW.
Yeah.
That I want, so their request is that we only have one additional flag in addition to the US flag. We've had 2. So having one is actually a violation of what we've currently been doing
The
the past
practice
year. So
so far.
I don't think that the select board is going to go out of control and have 10 flags up there, because there is a formal process, but I didn't want to formalize that in here. But we could also maybe put no more than 2
No more than
flags.
2.
If a future select board wants to have 10, all they have to do is vote to amend
Right.
these rules, right? So I'm not sure that placing a limit really, yeah, I don't know.
Well, the rules don't, I don't put any limits in here, so right now,
It's unlimited now. It doesn't
it's
say anything.
unlimited now.
But it's the select board who would have to approve
Each
each application and each flag, right? So,
So I just have a couple of questions.
Rich, you might want to move the, yeah, I've been
Yeah.
asked to let both of you know to move the microphone.
Closer?
Yeah, sorry.
So a couple of questions, Lisa. In looking at other towns, do they have subcommittees that handle these requests, or is it usually the select board or mayor's office or someone that does that? If you know the answer.
I don't remember any subcommittees. I think one community might have a flag committee,
Okay.
but it's, normally it's the select board and/or town manager.
Okay. And just so I understand, this is for people who want to have events on the common and people who just want to fly a flag.
This is a flag policy only. So we already have an existing mechanism for people to apply for events themselves that don't
Yeah.
involve flag raising. So
Okay.
this doesn't preclude, for example, so if somebody wants to fly a flag, but then they also want to have, a speaking ceremony and food, then there's an existing separate application insurance policy for them to go through our office.
Okay, so the events you reference in Exhibit A here are flag raising events.
Yes.
Okay, so they have to be could be consistent with our sustainability goals, must be open to the public. These rules all apply to those events, not necessarily an event on the town common. That also, I guess I'm a little confused.
Yeah, how does it,
How do they
how
mesh
does it
together?
work with the existing events policy and application process?
Yeah, this pertains only to flag raising at the town common. So this would not change any other events that might happen that's not at the town common. If there's a town common event, then, and it has nothing to do with the flag, then they wouldn't look at this. But essentially, if there is a flag raising event, what we want to make sure is that they also know that there is a whole process for getting permits for the event itself. So we're kind of just steering people towards that. And then this, especially under Exhibit A, that we're just sort of talking about the constricting the hours for the flag raising itself. So, for example, the DPW is really the only one who can do that. So it has to be between 8 and 2. But if they want to have a flag raising at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock or on a weekend, then that requires additional overtime and other considerations. And if they're going to do that, and it's just like a person there raising it, that's one thing. But if they're going to do that with a whole nother event, then they have to, they've got to make sure that they're not, charging anybody or restricting anybody from getting, from being a part of that flag raising process, and that they need to, I don't know if it's in Exhibit A or somewhere else, but that they need to go through the town for, the regular policy 11, in some instances, applicants may be required to apply for a special event or other permits depending on the scale of the event.
So I'm kind of imagining this as, you want to have 5 people come to the town common and raise a flag. And the whole thing takes maybe 20 minutes or, half an hour. That's this. But if you want to invite the public and have, I don't know, speakers and tables or something, or refreshments, then it becomes more of a town common event,
So you
rather than
need
just a flag event. And then the town manager's office would get one of these and say, well, wait a minute, what are you really trying to do? And what's your plan? And if it's, extensive, it becomes a town common event, not just a flag raising.
So if
Okay.
somebody just wanted to raise a flag without an event, they would just give us the flag. We would put it up during normal business hours, and
Yeah. Boom.
nothing else
That
is
would be
really
it.
needed. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And, I mean, does anyone know the history behind that flagpole, how it came to be in the common? Is there a special meaning for that flagpole at all in the town? I mean, we referenced
Mhm.
the war memorial right in front of the town hall. I didn't know if there's any special meaning for that flagpole at all in the common. Has anyone researched that at all?
Yeah, that is a great question, and certainly worth considering.
I just don't know. I have no idea. I walk by it,
Yeah.
100 times a week, but I just don't know, and shame on me if there is a specific, a meaning to it, but I just was curious of that. And I guess dovetailing on that, has anyone checked, I assume we have a Veterans Affairs type office or officer in the town, if anyone's
We do
run this
have a-
by him? or her?
Yeah, that would be Al
Okay.
Weil.
Oh, wow, he is the veterans
Yeah.
officer.
My conversation with him was more of not having it at town hall and having it
Yeah.
at town common because of the special meeting, and potentially we don't quite know if the town really has control and authority over the flagpole right at town hall because it's part of the memorial.
Because of the memorial thing.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
I don't know if it's unusual. It might be unusual. I think most town halls or city halls might have their own flag, so it's a bit unusual.
Yeah, I don't really remember if the flags on that side of the building were there and then we built the memorial, or whether the whole thing was one project.
I don't know.
Because I can remember there being a fundraising effort for the memorial and the wall.
I think it seemed appropriate, and sort of neutral ground to
Mhm.
be able to kind of interchange things at town common versus town hall, just because of that.
I have a question on, in the main policy, section 5.
Mm-hmm.
It says, at the end of that, it says, any effect on the town's intent as set forth in sections
Oh,
4 and
yeah.
5 above. Is that supposed to be sections 3 and 4 above?
You are correct. Let's make that amendment.
Yeah, I mean, you never know until you start to put one together, what you need, what seems too much, or what, it turns out you ought to have, to make things clearer, so this is good that we're, going through this here.
Yeah, my only concern is if that flagpole has any special meaning or intent, is dedicated to someone or something. I don't know the answer to that, and whether it makes sense, finding a different flagpole or putting in, like in Boston, they have several flagpoles at town hall that they raise. They have the United States flag, state flag, and then City of Boston flag, and then they have a flagpole that they use just for these type of events. So I don't.
So can I suggest that we reach out to the Winchester Historical Society, find out if they know anything about it, and then put this back on a second reading? And then
Yeah.
we don't have to vote on it tonight. We can vote on it at a future meeting.
Or the archivist.
Or the archivist, yeah.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Can you do that, town manager, or do we need to,
No, I can.
Yeah.
I just,
do you need this now?
well, ideally, I'd like it sooner than later, just because we have an application that will go to the meeting on the 12th, but I think we'd rather do it right than not.
Okay.
But we can approve, right now, we can approve to, if we want to as a board, right?
Without having to.
Without having to have,
I think I'll still have them fill out the draft application form, even though it's not quite policy yet.
And the July 12th works with their schedule, the people who have approached you?
Yeah, it's in August.
It's in August, yeah.
I can't remember the exact date, but it's in August raising.
Yeah.
And how do we approve the other ones? Was it this board that voted?
Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So we can consider that at our next meeting anyways.
Yeah, so we'll
Yeah.
put flag raising.
Flag
yes.
raising.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it remains government speech anyway. We're not allowing somebody else to raise the flag. We are raising the flag as government speech anyway, right?
Yep.
So.
Thank you for starting that. Okay.
I think we're done.
Yeah,
Did
I know.
you do the consent agenda?
We did do the consent agenda, did we?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
We
yeah.
did.
That was not a dream, okay.
No, it wasn't.
It's like kind of a fog there, it's like, are we on? Can people hear us? Okay, good. I think we're done then, so,
I move that we adjourn.
Second?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, WinCam, thank you, Patty.
Let us know when mics are down.